What's going on, Freight Skills? Welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about dual authorities. Is it worth it? What is it? Why do people do it? What's the benefit? What's the drawback? All that stuff. You're going to become a master on dual authorities and hopefully not make any mistakes, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. And before we do, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel and like this video so that this can get out to more people so that nobody makes any mistakes going about starting a dual authority the wrong way, right? We want to do things right from the beginning. We don't want to set up a house of cards that's ready to fall only when we start to get momentum, right? So make sure you like this video so that it can get out to more people. Now, let's first start by defining what a dual authority is. A dual authority is an authority of a freight brokerage and a carrier, right? So you're a broker of property and a carrier of property. That means not only are you allowed to use your own assets to sell trucks, you are allowed to broker loads out to other trucks. The caveat is the customers that you work with must always know which part of the authority you are activating. If you're brokering a load but accepting a load as a carrier, that's where the issues come in, all right? So that's just a little bit of a definition. If you're experienced, you see already what the problem is with dual authorities, but that's what dual authorities are. Where you might hear this in your everyday life is when you're making your cold calls or you're sending your LinkedIn messages, like I teach in my Freight Skills Academy. You're gonna hear people say or see people say, are you asset-based? That pretty much means, are you a broker and a carrier, a straight up broker or a straight up carrier? I am not asset-based. I don't plan to be anything other than non-asset-based, but there are some carriers who are asset-based, such as Landstar. They've been around for a long time, very big company. They have a dual authority. There are also some smaller companies who start up dual authorities. You might hear it so many times that you become very tempted to say, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start a dual authority. I'm sick of not being able to answer the question, are you asset-based? I can't answer that with a yes. I wanna answer it with a yes, so let me activate my other side of the authority. And here's why I don't recommend anybody start a dual authority. This is just my opinion. If anybody asks me how to do it, and asks me to help them, I refuse to help them. I don't care if you pay me $10,000. I'm not gonna help you set up a dual authority or run one, because I just have no interest in the business model. I don't think it's conducive to a successful business to start right now, unless you come from a background in freight already and you have an experience building up a dual authority. Here's why. Here's what the problem is. First of all, when you have a dual authority, insurance companies do not like that. Simply to start a dual authority, what the general knowledge out there is and how to do it, you have to set up two different entities and your name and your ownership structure has to be completely different. So for example, if you want to start carrier A and broker A, so the broker's name is A, right? The company name is A. So you have broker A, you start your brokerage, right? Letter A. And then you say, you know what, I want to bolt on a carrier authority. If you do a dual, like if you send it into the FMC and you say, oh, you know, I'm going to do carrier stuff too. Now this entity is under all the regulations that carriers are under. Filing your safety paperwork, your bond, your IFTA taxes, everything becomes a carrier now too. So now you have two levels of compliance that you have to deal with. On top of that, you have insurance. But here's the issue. Insurance companies do not like to insure brokers who have a carrier authority and carriers who have a broker authority. Why is that? And this is a conversation I've had with my insurance company many times. They don't like doing it because they don't want to take the chance that you're always going to be moving a load legally. What that means is that there's a very gray area. If you have a dual authority at any point in time, you can accept the load from a broker standpoint and give it to your carrier authority, but you could also accept it as a carrier and give it to your broker authority, which is illegal. There's a huge gray area and most insurance companies are not willing to take the chance to do that. Customers and shippers, not all of them understand the risks involved with this, but just so you understand, whether you own both companies or not, if you are a carrier and you take a load as a carrier from your shipper and then you give it to your broker authority and they give it to another carrier, you just double brokered the load. That's illegal. There's fines and penalties. You lose trust with your shipper, a whole bunch of problems. And God forbid something goes wrong with that load, your insurance is not going to cover anything because you did not move it properly. I did a video on double brokering and co-brokering that shows what the flow of paperwork always needs to look like to stay legal. I'll link that right here. Check it out if you haven't. But the thing that you have to pull from this is when there's a question and uncertainty about how a broker or a carrier is going to behave and comply, insurance companies are not going to take the risk on that. So essentially, if you open up a dual authority, you will not be considered very insurable. And if you do, it's going to be very expensive. Okay, so that's number one about a dual authority. The insurance is just a complete nightmare. The compliance is a complete nightmare. You're dealing with both things, and you have to watch yourself in how you conduct business. Because if you accept a load under the guise of an asset-based carrier and you give it to somebody else because you say, oh, I could do both, that's illegal. You can't do that. If you take the load with your asset, you have to move it with your asset. You take the load as a broker, you can give it to whoever the heck you want, okay? So that's two. Whew, that was a mouthful. So number three, why you don't want to be a dual authority. There's a saying that I say to everybody that you cannot ride two horses with one ass, all right? I try to do it all the time, believe me. I have ideas all the time that I try to pursue. I'm guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it. But you cannot grow a carrier authority and a brokerage at the same time. It just doesn't work. The mentality of a carrier versus a broker is completely different. The way you approach sales as a carrier versus a broker, completely different. The struggles of a carrier will never match the struggles of a broker. There's much more from the carrier side, right? They have a lot more to deal with than brokers do. We both have battles. They're just different battles. You can't possibly manage those struggles at the same time. So if you go into this and say, I'm gonna do both, I'm gonna run this truck and I'm gonna run my brokerage and I'm gonna grow my sales here while this guy's running around the country, and it's gonna be great. It's not, because that truck's gonna break down, that driver's gonna quit, that delivery is gonna be late. Constantly things on the carrier side is gonna take you away from the brokerage, and constant problems on the brokerage side is gonna make you neglect the carriers. So for that reason, I highly advise you not to start a dual authority, just for the sake of, from a business standpoint, forget the legal stuff that I talked about before. From a business standpoint, it does not make sense to do both. They're completely different mindsets and skill sets that you need. I would not dive into the world of running a carrier authority. I don't teach anything that has to do with carriers or running a carrier authority because I don't know how to do it. If you don't know how to run a brokerage and that you're new to this business, choose one. So either dive in and learn carrier or dive in and learn how to be a broker. I am a proponent of brokers, so obviously I'm going to tell you to go that way. Now, I understand the interest in wanting to start a dual authority. The interest is that all of the companies and customers that you're calling are asking you if you're asset-based. But here's a little news flash. We are not asset-based. We have not been asset-based for 15, 20, no, how long? 95, 2005, 15, now we're in 2023. Almost 28, 29 years. All right, I think it's about that. 29 years, we have not been asset-based. I have over 500 to 1,000 customers at any given time, right? It fluctuates. We have a lot of customers. None of them care that we're not asset-based. There are hundreds and hundreds of thousands more shippers who will not care that you're asset-based. So if you're gonna use the excuse that the first 10 phone calls you make, they ask you if you're asset-based, that's just an objection. It's one that you can deal with. You can deal with it by downloading my objection eliminator, which is linked right down below. It says objection eliminator. But the answer is not to go down the path of starting a dual authority. Because if you do, you're gonna open yourself up to a lot of headaches, right? Forget the legal stuff. Like, I'm not a legal advisor. I'm just telling you what insurance companies have told me and what I've seen happen. It's not a great idea. A lot of people will tell you that you can do both, you can get away with it, you can you go through the trouble, start up the business under a different name, give it to your wife or your husband, start it under your cousin's address. Right? Just the fact that you have to make these filings and completely separate all the names and things like that makes it a bad idea, all right? So if you have a dual authority and you're in too deep, I'm not telling you to drop it. Just if you're at a place where you have to keep going, right? If you figured out how to do it, I have no interest in looking into how to do it. So if you figured it out and you got insurance and you got all that, awesome, keep going with it. But if you're starting out and you ask me, should I do a dual authority? I'm gonna tell you no, I don't advise on that. I don't advocate for that. I don't think you should do it. It puts you in a lot of bad situations, and the potential gain is not worth the potential risk. That's my take on it. Hopefully this helped you. If maybe this helped bring some clarity. If you were trying to decide between a dual authority, maybe now I helped you understand some of the risks involved so you can make a more informed decision. Again, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you what I think. This is my opinion. And as a broker of 15 years, that's what I think. Okay? So if this video helped, and if you have a different opinion on it, or you agree with my opinion, I'd love to hear your comments and feedback down in the comments section. I interact there myself. All of the answers are from me and me alone. I do it right from my phone. So you are engaging with me when you comment, and I really appreciate any time that you take to watch my videos, comment on them, and help this channel grow. Okay, so before I go, once again, remember, you can download the Objection Eliminator. If the asset-based thing is getting in the way, download that. It's gonna help you power through those objections so you have a higher chance of success. And before we sign off, as always, I wanna invite you to join my exclusive freight broker group. It's called the Freight Broker Network. It's a Facebook group. If you're new to the community, it is the #1 place for freight brokers on the internet, hands down, besides my Freight Skills Academy. You can join that by clicking the link down below that says join the free group. Follow the instructions on the page, invite yourself in, and introduce yourself. I'd love to get to know you. I love every single one of you who watch my videos. It just blows me away that people sit here and listen to me on the internet. All right, so it really is appreciated, anything that you guys do, and just the support that I've gotten so far. All right, so thank you again for watching. Until the next video, I'll see you soon.